Hello everybody and welcome back to another Power Rankings video. We are here doing the Meditite conference. I'm once again joined by Kevin. Hello.
Hello everyone.
Let's just get right into this. So, should we go over this slide again? The criteria for evaluation? I mean, we didn't even go over it the first time, so should we just skip it?
Just know that we're not really trying that hard, but
Yeah.
that we are.
I mean, our outfits may look like we're trying very hard, but... Alright. First, we have the Washington Wishy-Washies. You want to start us off this time, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll start. So, we got Heatran, Salamence, T, Umbreon, Stuffy, Quillfish, Rayama, Wishy-Washy, Megazam, and Doug Trio as a Z user. So, initial thoughts on this team is I think the first three Pokemon are very threatening. Heatran, Mence, and Manaphy are all amazing, with Mence and Manaphy as tier 2s being extremely threatening. And then you got Umbreon, Celebi, and things like Hariyama as sort of your defensive core. And I think overall it's a really nice team, plus Megazam, which is incredibly threatening in this league. I question the Doug Trio Z user pick, but I mean, you do you. And then also there's like 3 water types, so I mean, kind of weak to electric types if you ask me. But no, what are your thoughts?
You see there's 3 water types? Oh, I can't count. Yeah, there are 3. Yeah, I can't count.
Wishy-Washy.
I think it's a pretty nice team. I definitely like the picks. He has Heatran plus Mence, which is a pretty good, pretty solid core. Both are very strong offensively and defensively, and they pair very well together. They cover for weaknesses. Salamence is immune to ground and resists water and fighting, which Heatran obviously doesn't like to take. On the other hand, Heatran is able to resist ice attacks that Salamence doesn't like, and dragon type attacks and fairy type attacks. So actually, usually you see a fairy dragon steel core. He doesn't have a fairy on this team, but his dragon plus steel is very, very solid, and they cover for each other very well. He also has Pokemon like Manaphy and Celebi and Hariyama, who are all just really good on the offensive and defensive side. And then he also does have walls, like he has Umbreon, he has Quillfish, which is an interesting pick, but it's definitely very good in tier 4. And he also offensively has Mega Alakazam. So I think overall, his team is definitely, it's definitely a bulky offense team. He has a lot of Pokemon that excel at both offense and defense. He does have some more powerful attackers in there, and he also does have some walls in there. I feel like his Pokemon overall just cover for each other's weaknesses, and they're all just very strong picks, and they pair well together. There's not that much to say. I think it's a pretty good team. It's very solid.
Yeah, honestly, I'm leaning to give this like a 4.
Yeah.
I think that it has a really strong start, but the only thing preventing me from giving it a 5 is that there's 3 Pokemon with 100 base speed, Mence, 15 Celebi, so speed tiers are a little bit awful, though he does cover the upper and lower ends.
Yeah.
And the second thing is just the 3 like water types, which kind of gives the team a bit more weaknesses than it would like to have.
Yeah. I also wouldn't give it a 5. I think it's somewhat close, but I think what's holding it back is, in terms of threats, like there are a lot of high-tier threats here, but there isn't anything, besides maybe Mega Alakazam, there isn't anything that just makes you, instantly shit your pants, right?
Yeah.
It's just the Zam, maybe. So yeah, solid 4 out of 5.
Like Wishy-Washy, if you use Wishy-Washy well, it does hit really hard.
Yeah, but I would not shit my pants over Wishy-Washy. I'll tell you that.
True.
Alright, solid 4 out of 5. Pretty high 4 out of 5, actually.
It's alright.
Yeah. Next we have the Uniao Flemieras. Kevin, you didn't put the tilde in the name, in the title.
Yeah, it didn't copy paste well.
Wait, how does a tilde go over an A? I took Spanish for like 8 years. I've only seen them over N's. Uniao. I guess in this case it's over an A. I don't know. Anyway. We got Dragapult, Mr. Dragapants. We got Suicune, Mandibuzz, Registeel, Nidoking, Slowbro Electivire, Sneasel, Mega Garchomp, and Abomasnow. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty strong team, somewhat. I mean, I really like So similar how we were talking about last time with Ujana drafting Slowbro, which is a very good Pokemon on his team because it allows no one else to draft it, which counters his Sand. I love the Mandibuzz pick here because it both covers Dragapult's weaknesses and it's a very good counter to Dragapult, so no other team can draft it. So he has Dragapult, very scary Mandibuzz, which is one of the biggest counters to it, which no one else can draft. He has Suicune, which is overall just a really solid tier 2. You can either run, Pro-Kun or Vin-Kun. Those are the two most common sets where you have Sleep Talk combined, and you have, Rest, right? Then we got, that's one set. There's, what is it? It's Combine Sub and then Sleep Talk Rest. Yeah. Then we have Registeel, which I think Registeel plus Mandibuzz and Suicune is a pretty good defensive core. The problem that all three of them kind of have is that there's no real way for damage. I mean, Mandibuzz does have foul play, and Suicune does have setup, but all three of those can kind of be set up on easily, so that's kind of a bit of a problem. I guess not Mandibuzz because of foul play, but let's say he's going up against a Calm Mind Zero Aura, right? Suicune can't really do much about that. Mandibuzz can't do much about that, and neither can Registeel, besides some maybe Earthquakes, or I guess Body Press would be better. But defensively, it's pretty good. Definitely not the best, but it's pretty solid. And then offensively, he has Mega Garchomp plus Dragapult. He has the Dual Dragons, very strong. Unfortunately, it would be nice to see something that can kind of break the things that Dragons struggle with. Dragons obviously struggle with Fairies and Steel types mainly. Garchomp deals with that and so does Nidoking. But in terms of Fairy types, he has Nidoking. He has Nidoking, and I guess he has Slowbro, and that's about it. So there's not too much to kind of break what Dragapult and Garchomp struggle with. Both of them are obviously very powerful, and they are very good at breaking for each other, but they kind of do struggle with some types like Ice types and, Fairy types. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, going on Noah's head. Me personally, in this team, I do feel like there isn't a very coherent theme to the team, which isn't a problem. But I do wish there was a nice solid core. Dragapult and Suicune are very offensive, which is a nice defensive core that you have. But Mandibuzz and Registeel, like Noah mentioned, I actually am not the biggest fan of Registeel after using it in a different league.
Yeah, same here. Really I use it as well.
And it just kind of sits there.
Yeah.
With no reliable recovery.
Yeah, exactly. And it just gets set up on and just switches in too much and gets crippled down and doesn't have any good recovery. Sounds like Rest. Yeah.
Second thing is, I wish there was a Hail user, especially with the bottom spell as a Z move user. I feel like you want to try to get the most mileage out of that Z move slot, but I do wish there was something maybe an Arc Result instead of that Electivire, or maybe a Sand Slash Alola instead of that Sneasel. But I wish there was a Hail user just to add that extra element right to the team. And I really feel like it could complement Head Bombus a bit. It's wishing I had a partner right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think this gets a 2 out of 5. I think it still gets a 3 just because it has some really powerful mons on its own, like Garchomp, and I like Mandibuzz. I think it's definitely a 3 out of 5.
I think it's 3.
Yeah. All right, next we got Toronto Star Raptors. What do you got to say about this team, Kevin?
Yeah, so we're looking at Aegislash, Latias, Primarina, Moltres, Obstagoon, Shuckle, Gold, Venusaur, and Z-Move user Rotom. The thing I saw when looking at this team was it had a pretty nice Firewater Grip score. You got Mega Venusaur, Moltres, Primarina, which are all very bulky, but they also hit really hard as well. So you can really set in front of them, so they both do defensive and offensively. Then you got sort of an Aegislash and Latias pairing, which are both weak to Ghost plus Golurk, but I think that there are Pokemon with teams such as Obstagoon that sort of counter that, but that is sort of a weakness of the team. Ghost types for sure, I think there's a lot going to this team. It's very offensive, but there's also a lot of defensive things here and there. So overall, it seems really balanced. I do like the Golurk pick, but yeah, I mean that's
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting team, definitely. Offensively, as you said, it's pretty good. He does have webs, but there isn't that many abusers of it. He has Primarina and Aegislash, which are just too slow to be able to outspeed those, over a base 100 mons, even with the webs. Venusaur just barely is able to outspeed them, but he has to run speed in Venusaur if he wants to, which I don't think he will. I guess Lottie can already make use of that, but that's about it. Maybe Obstagoon's also a good abuser. But I would definitely like to see more that could abuse the webs. Also, he does have more bulky Pokemon like Moltres, Primarina, and Lottie, and somewhat Aegislash, and of course Venusaur, which is incredibly bulky wall. But they don't really cover well for each other's weaknesses. As you said, Ghost types blow through him. Pretty much just strong special attacks. It's able to hit Venusaur for a good chunk, just destroy him. So Ghost types. I guess Fire types he resists pretty well. Psychic types.
Dark types as well.
Yeah, Dark types. Yeah, exactly. Ghost and Dark, very strong. Psychic types he has Lottie and Aegislash for, so I guess not as much. But pretty much stuff that Venusaur doesn't really want to take that much because he doesn't want to be whittled down because he's a really good wall for almost every Pokemon in the game if it's not being hit with those powerful Ghost and Dark type attacks and Psychic type attacks. But yeah, I'm kind of struggling to see what this team actually does. It just doesn't feel very coherent. He has bulky Pokemon. He has setup sweepers, which is pretty nice. But then he has Shuckle with sticky webs, and he doesn't really have that many abusers of it. Besides Obstagoon is his main one. It's probably another. I don't know if it's a 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5. I think once again I kind of still want to give it a 3 out of 5 just because it has it has Venusaur mainly and it has those threats it has Primarina, Aegislash, Lottie, all very good picks on their own. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, I think the Obstagoon plus Shuckle pairing, while it is the only apparently the only good web abuser on the team, I think that the fact that it has Defiant just adds another sort of extra layer to the Shuckle pairing.
Yes, true. So yeah, I think it's probably a mid to low 3 out of 5 though, but yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next, let's see what we got.
Let's go, Lycanrock! Let's go! Woo-hoo! Let's go! Yeah!
Never my waist, hand on the waist, not from the States, she wanna stay, 20th case, thought it was late, I was a face, set it on base, 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 in my face, get on my face,
Bro, I'm over here just being a moron, and Kevin's just sitting there with just a blank look on his face. What are you doing, bro? You have no words for that, do you?
No, would you like to give a team analysis?
I do want to give a team analysis. So we have the Houston Lycanrockets here. Amazing team. Obviously, I have all my money on this team. Spamham's going to win. He's going to move up to the Meditite conference if we still have that next season. I truly believe in him. I know he has the power of anime and God on his side. His parents are watching this. His grandparents are watching this. His great-grandparents are watching this league from the grave, and they are ready to see their Spamham put in the work this season. He's got a very nice team. He's got the Fairy Dragon Steel Core of Hydreigon, Sylveon, and Cobalion. It's a very good, UU kind of mid-tier Fairy Dragon Steel. That's pretty common. He has Necrozma, which it seems like, I think, in the Medicham division, was Necrozma also on the team with the Mega Aggron? Or, no, actually, no, that was the Rain team. Never mind. No, it wasn't. Never mind. What?
It was on Core's team.
Yeah, it was on, yeah. So never mind then. But, Necrozma is a pick that we always see on these good teams. They have a bunch of good, they have some really strong cores, some really strong Pokemon. They just have Necrozma there just to mess up the opponent's planning because you can't really plan for Necrozma that well. It has so many things it could do, and all of which it could do very well. It's kind of like a lower tier Mew. But yeah, defensively, very strong. He also has, of course, his Fire, Water, Grass core, a Roserade plus Jellicent plus Delphox, which is pretty good. Then he has Mega Pinsir, which is also very scary. A lot of scary Pokemon on this team, some good cores, good balance of offense and defense, good balance of physical and special attackers. Not really, actually. He really just has, actually, Pinsir is his only physical attacker. It is a physical breaker, which is good for him. He does have a nice speed tier. Oh no, he has Cobalion, my bad. So Cobalion and Pinsir. So actually, it's pretty good. So overall, yeah, it's definitely a good team.
Necrozma can also run physicals.
Can it? Well, it runs
Dragon Dance.
What?
It has Dragon Dance.
Oh, does it? What's his base physical attack? Is it like what, like 90? Is it like decent?
I'm sure it's decent.
It probably is. I think he has like a lot of. Let's look it up actually. Here, you give your thoughts on the team. I'm gonna look up Necrozma stats.
Yeah. So look at this team. I mean, I think it's shredded. I think that the Firewood Grass core of Roserade, Jellicent, and Delphox is really nice. It has a lot of potential for sleep hazards. I'm sure Necrozma gets Stealth Rocks, and Roserade gets dual spikes.
Yeah.
I think my biggest problem for this team is that it's very very weak. The only resist, which is a quad resist, is on Delphox, so it really puts a lot of pressure on Delphox to be defensive. Otherwise, Fairy types kind of run through this team. There is no resistance, and I think my second problem is the lack of hazard control, actually, because you really want to be able to keep Stealth Rocks off the field for Mega Pinsir. And so far from looking at this, the only form of defog support that you have is from Hydreigon.
Yeah.
Which then puts pressure on Hydreigon to run sort of support sets, maybe more bulky sets with defog, which kind of limits its offensive potential. So on the face, I think it's a really good team, but I think there are a couple things here and there that can be exploited. One being the hazard weakness, and two being the fairy weakness.
Yeah, good analysis. Obviously, as I said earlier in the last video, my drafting style kind of just tries to ignore hazards a lot. Especially now that in this gen we have heavy duty boots, I just a lot of times just slap the boots on the Mons and just forget about it. But he does have Mega Pinsir, which is a Mega, so he cannot hold anything besides his Mega Stone, so he cannot hold those boots. And yeah, you definitely need a good defogger, which he does not have, paired with Mega Pinsir. So yeah, that's definitely I agree with what you said. It's a good team overall, but as you pointed out, it is very exploitable. Yeah. By the way, Necrozma has base 107 attack, so it's actually pretty good, pretty decent. So
nice.
I still want to give this a 4 out of 5 because the defog is like the thing that's really holding this team back. I think it gets a low 4 out of 5 because of that. What do you think?
I'm giving it a low out of 5. I think a lot of the picks here are really nice and quite valuable for the tiers that they're valued at.
Yeah.
I would question the Sawsbug pick just because Sawsbug is a dog shit. But other than that, I do like a lot of the picks here. Low 4 out of 5. Great Pokemon, just a few weaknesses here and there.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I don't think we really have to care what this team gets rated because Spamham's still going to win the league no matter what. So, yeah. Next we have the Strapped Scissors.
We got the Strapped Scissors.
He's got it.
So, again, we're looking at a STEM team again. Drill. Slowbro, Gigalith, another really good Sandsteader. We don't like Tyranitar, we don't like Hippo. Weezing, Braviary, Houndoom, Harbing, Scizor, and Trevenant as the Z-move user. So as I wrote, this is a very Ujana looking team. You got the Excadrill, Slowbro, Gigalith, and then you got a flying type, or a normal flying with Braviary. I do think this team is more offensive. I really don't see the defensive core that sort of Ujana had in this team. I mean, you do have Slowbro and Weezing Galar and Gigalith, but I don't know how well these Pokemon pair together. So I see this team being used a lot more hyper offensively, with Sand and Mega Scissor being set up for offensive, plus Trevenant being a huge breaker with the Z move. Just don't see a lot of defensive synergy on this team.
Yeah. So as I said with the Jonas team, the Slowbro pick is very nice. It allows your opponents to not be able to draft something like a Slowbro that would usually, counter Exegil very well. He also has, as his walls, he has Wheezing and he has Mega Scissor. They're somewhat good together. I mean, the problem is that all three of them don't like taking a strong special, Ghost type attack or Dark type attack. Or even Fire type attack, because a Blacephalon with like Choice Specs will just blow up all three of them. Even if it clicks Flamethrower, it's still gonna 2-hit KO Slowbro after rocks. Gigalith is good for that, but it's just a Gigalith. So yeah, as you said, the team is pretty nice offensively. We got Excadrill as a physical breaker and sweeper or cleaner. Can honestly do any of those. We got Kyurem as a special breaker. We got Scissor as maybe a setup sweeper, setup breaker. We also got Braviary, which is pretty nice. Bulk up sets could be very scary to go against. I'd say overall it's a pretty solid team, but it's definitely lacking a few things. It's lacking a good, kind of like, as I usually like to say, it's lacking a good third cover wall, because his big walls are Slowbro and Wheezing, and there isn't really a third one to cover that. Something like a Mana Buzzer, would be amazing on this team. But offensively, it's definitely really strong. So I think it's a very high 3 out of 5.
I give it a low 4 just because of the Slowbro, extra drill picks. And then you do have the Sand, and Kyurem is an amazing breaker. It's just more offensive. I don't want to ignore the Carbink pick. It's a very defensive wall. Of course, it is very passive, but it has a couple things going for it. I'd give it a low 4 just because it is threatening, and I don't want to discredit that.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Next we have Team Envy. So he's got a full rain team. Full rain team. He's got Pelipper as his setter, which is an awful setter. Terrible. Bad job. You're bad. You're going to lose. And he has, he has 3 Swift Swimmers. 4 Swift Swimmers. He has Gorbis, Mega Swamp, 5 Swift Swimmers. Oh my. Dreadnought, Mega Swampert, Gorbis, Barraskewda, and Kingdra. He then has Thundurus T, which is also very good on rain teams, as it's able to, abuse. Does it get Hurricane?
No.
It doesn't get
It's
Hurricane,
Thunder.
right? I guess it just gets Thunder.
Nope.
So it gets Thunder, which I guess it can abuse.
And it gets Weather Ball.
Oh, and it gets Weather Ball too, right. Then, of course, Ferrothorn is also really good because it hates fire-type attacks, and Rain obviously helps him out with that. So, overall, I definitely like the commitment to the Rain. Rain is definitely very scary to go up against. It's a bit less scary in draft than it is in the ladder, but he did commit to it, which is very nice. He, of course, has his physical Rain Breakers. He has special Rain Breakers. He has Ferrothorn as a nice wall. He has Thundurus as an electric-type breaker, which is able to deal with the bulky water types that the other guys deal with. The other guys don't deal with well. It's also able to fire off Hidden Power Flyings because Legacy moves are allowed, and maybe take down something like a Tangrowth that the rest of the team would struggle with.
People.
Yep. He also does have Frostmoth. Interesting pick, but I think it's good. To spam Bug-type attacks and Ice-type attacks to take over, or to take down those Grass-type attacks, as I've been saying, or Grass-type Pokemon like Tangrowth. He has a Comfey, which is also very...
also gets Weather Ball.
Who does? Oh, Frostmoth?
Frostmoth.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So I guess it can, deal with the Fire-type Pokemon that it usually struggles with somewhat well. So overall, I think it's a very scary team. If you don't have good Pokemon to go up against it, then you're kind of screwed. There's no real way to out prep against a rain team if you just don't have the tools to deal with it already. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of teams, especially in this lower league, that don't have that much stuff to deal with it. So I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I kind of give it like a 3, almost a low 3. Like I said with Hoyden's team yesterday, it relies very heavily on Pelipper to set up Rain. I think that if the opposing team gets rid of Pelipper, a lot of the strategies that he might have will fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish this team had like a secondary weather setter, like a Polytoad.
Yeah.
Just because
Base
of how
Polytoad.
reliant it is on Swift Swim.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like having 5 Swift Swimmers is very unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there could have been better use of those slots.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the commitment to it. I think, having like Kingdra plus Mega Swampert plus maybe, Dreadnought as your sweepers would be good. I think 5 is Gorbis plus Barraskewda as well. I think 3 is enough. He has 4 is a bit much, but at least it's good commitment. And then 5, yeah, I definitely agree it's going a bit overboard. I do agree that once Pelipper goes down, it's going to be difficult for him, but I just don't see that happening that easily because, I mean, he just runs, boots on it with Roost, and he runs bulky, and he just has, flip turners, he has U-turners, he has a Volt Switcher. He just is able to keep up momentum, and if he just plays it right, like as I said, there's going to be many teams that just can't deal with it, and if they can't deal with it, Pelipper is not going to go down because he's just going to keep up his momentum with U-turns, flip turns, and just keep whittling down his opponent's team, and he'll eventually just be able to break through it before Pelipper even gets, damaged at all, really. So I do think I definitely wouldn't give this a low 3 at all. If anything, I'd give it a low 4, but I'd probably say it's a mid-range 4, maybe a low mid-range 4, because it's still a very solid team. You have to remember that this is the lower conference. I mean, it's possible these players are really good. Most of them, or like about half of them, are new, so we don't know how they're going to play. But Rain is definitely very scary in any lower division, and I could definitely see this easily just taking over if Darien plays it well.
That's a fair point. I mean, I'm down to give it a low 4. I think we also forgot that I'm pretty sure Gorbis gets Shell Smash, right?
Yeah, it gets Shell Smash. Yeah. So.
All right, low 4.
Low 4. All right, next we got the Town Bad Dragon Balls.
Town Bad Dragon Balls. Love this team name, by the way.
Yeah.
And on this team,
want to elaborate what very Noah-looking team means?
It's a very Noah-looking team. You got Zygarde, Scizor, Mostline, Venusaur, Swampert, Scrafty, Heliolisk, Cradily, Zard Y, and Granbull as the Z move user. Personally, big fan of Granbull, by the way, if you couldn't tell.
I am as well.
Yeah, so overall, very threatening Sun team. You got the Zard Y Sunsetter, you got Venusaur's Powerful Sweeper, and you got Heliolisk as the Solar Power Breaker. All great, especially as low-tier Sun abusers. And outside of Sun, you have Scizor, Mamoswine, which are both incredibly threatening. And you got Swampert as a very defensive Pokemon. You got Zygarde, which can do its own things. Personally, not a big fan of Zygarde in draft, but hey, it's a tier 1, so you do you. And then Cradily, which is, surprisingly hard to kill. Overall, I actually like it quite a bit. I mean, it's like a partial Sun team, so you can run Sun, you don't have to. It can function in and outside of weather, so I think it has the defensive Pokemon it needs, and it also has the offensive Pokemon. But what do you think?
I like to very adamantly disagree with you, by the way. This is a very Noah-looking team. Because it's kind of missing the big thing that my teams always have. It doesn't really have I don't think it has a very strong defensive backbone. It definitely has a lot of Noah-looking picks, right? He's got let me just say, Granbull, Cradily, Scrafty, they're all agents. They're all great picks. Charizard, why I haven't used it, but I also think that's probably a very me pick. Maybe Scizor a bit. Zygarde and Swampert I've drafted before, but I probably would never draft them again. So that was kind of a one-time thing. But yeah, a lot of Noah-looking picks. Not really a Noah-looking team. Usually I like to draft, a physical wall, a special wall, and then a cover wall, right? He has a physical wall in Swampert, and that's about it. He has some light walls like Granbull and Cradily and Scizor and maybe Zygarde. But he only really has Swampert as a main wall, and Scrafty. But he only has Zygarde as Swampert as a main wall. It doesn't even have recovery, which is why I would probably never draft Swampert again. I drafted him in a different league, by the way, guys. Obviously not in this league. But yeah, so I think that's definitely something that's holding it back. It doesn't have a very strong defensive backbone in terms of, good recovery mons, good clerics. Cradily does have recovery.
Scizor has Roost.
Scizor has Roost as well, but it's really not enough. I usually like to have 2 or 3 Pokemon that have really good defensive stats, and at least 2 of them having recovery. His only mon with that, as high defensive stats as I'd usually look for is Swampert, but it just doesn't have any good recovery. Yeah, so
Play devil's advocate. You
Uh-huh.
have 3 Pokemon, Zygarde, Scrafty, and Granbull, and all abuse Rest Talk like really well. Because you have Scrafty that has Shit Spin with Rest,
Mhm.
and Granbull typically runs something like Rest Steel Bell as like a cleric set,
Mhm.
and then I think Zygarde, tends to run like Rest setup sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
he
saying.
has the potential to be played well, but I do agree with some points.
Yeah, I'm not saying he has nothing in terms of defense. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying he doesn't have the strongest defensive backbone. It's just not enough. It's a lot of, like I kind of always say, it's a lot of just being like, okay, I want to draft powerful Pokemon, all of which have good attacking stats, some of which have, or a lot of which I guess have good bulky stats. But he's not really focusing too much on the defensive side of his team. But his defensive side definitely isn't the worst. His mons do somewhat cover for each other. He's got a nice range of types here. And offensively, of course, it's very strong. He's got that Charizard Y Venusaur that I have in Medicham Conference. He has Heliolisk, which gets solar power. He has... so he has those as like special breakers, right? And then he has Scissor and Zygarde as physical attackers, more setup sweepers,
And
setup
Mamo.
breakers, and Mamo,
How
of
dare you
course.
disrespect that thing?
I was about to say him. Don't worry. And luckily, actually, the sun makes it does boost some fire type attacks. So Mamo would probably not like to take those, and it's boosting it, so it's not the best thing. But it also reduces water type attacks, which I think is honestly better for Mamo because fire types don't really like to switch into it, whereas water types, like let's say you have a Primarina, right? You switch in a Primarina versus a Mamoswine. If it's banded, you're getting 2-hit KO by Earthquake, right? But if you're bulky enough and like maybe you Scarf Mamo, you're going to get 3-hit KO by Earthquake. However, you can O-Call him back with a Scald if he's in Sun, so just remember that. Yeah, overall, pretty strong. Definitely not the best defensive backbone. Definitely could be better. I'd say a low 4. What do you
I'm
think?
gonna say a high 3 just because I don't really see a fire type resist on this team.
Yeah,
besides
true.
Swampert,
Mhm.
that doesn't have recovery.
It doesn't have recovery. I do think it is also heavily dependent on how he uses it, right? Because Pokemon like Zygarde and Scissor, all have really interesting things that they can do. Especially, as you said, there's a lot of Rest Talk Pokemon, so I think there's a lot of sets he could bring. He could substitute on a lot of his Pokemon. He could put setup moves on them. Like Zygarde gets, it gets Coil. It can sub, it can rest, it can do all kinds of stuff in Dragon Dance. So it's very dependent on how he uses it. So yeah, either high 3 or low 4.
Yeah.
Next we got the Brooklyn Bay Corviknights. Okay. Let's see. So he has interesting team. He's got Victini, Skarmory, Terrakion, Seismitoad, Chestnut, Hitmontop, Aromatisse, Sableye, Mega Manectric, and Snorlax. Let me just say that Mega Manectric, I love the Mega Manectric pick. In VGC, in 2018, it was actually amazing. It was paired with Celesteela and Tapu Fini very commonly because it has Lightning Rod and it obviously helps both of them out. It was a very solid core. In singles, obviously, it's not as good, but since we do have legacy moves, it retains its hidden power Ice, which is very good. It has, of course, Overheat, Flamethrower, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt. Those are its main moves. I think it's a very good pick because it has. What is it? It's tier 3. I'm assuming, right?
What Pokemon?
Mega Manectric.
Yeah, tier 3.
It's tier 3. So I think it's a pretty good pick in tier 3. And I just think it's really cool. It's a very great lead. You can always scout out stuff. Just Volt Switch for absolutely free because you're like the fastest Pokemon on the planet. He of course also has Victini, so Mega Manectric isn't the most powerful. If it was more powerful, this would be an amazing team. But it's a very good speed tier, and it's a very good special type attacker that's able to chip things down for his Victini, which can be Scarf or Banded. It can do a lot of different things, but all of its sets just destroy stuff. Banded V-Create or Scarf V-Create just hits like everything in the game for a lot of damage. Those two, I think, pair really together because you can kind of just keep U-turning and Volt Switching to get a shit ton of momentum with those two. He also, of course, has Skarmory and some other defensive Pokemon like Snorlax and Seismitoad, which pair somewhat well together. Not too much reliable recovery, but Skarmory does have Roost, of course. Snorlax does have Rest, and it's very good for paired with Skarmory, right? Because Snorlax with Thick Fat can take a lot of the hits that Skarmory doesn't like to take. Fire type attacks. special type electric attacks, where you put Assault Vest on your Snorlax, and Starmie can easily take those physical type attacks that destroy Snorlax. So overall, I think offensively is very scary, and it's very, very good at keeping up momentum, it seems. Defensively, it's pretty good as well.
Right, yeah, I mean, like, jumping into this team, the first thing that jumped out to me was how defensive this team was. I mean, you got, like, Skarmory, Chestnut, Intimidate him on top, and Seismitoad and things like that, so very physically defensive, especially defensive. You also have Snorlax, Seismitoad can be especially defensive, Aromatisse, things like that. And I wish there were some more special attack options.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do agree that Mega Manectric is, you know, a huge special threat, but not having the ability to run choice specs does give it a leg down to other regular special attackers.
Mm-hmm.
And Victini, which I actually have used as a special attack a few times in a different league, I do think that you sort of miss out on the opportunity to just click huge power, like, you know, like humongous damage from V-Create. Another
Imagine
thing
if Victini got huge power, Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, like, what I meant to say was that you missed the opportunity to click V-Create and do big damage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one last thing I noticed about this team is that there's 3 fighting types, similar to Mission having 3 water types. It really does sort of leave a hole open on this team with flying types and psychic types.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do have like Sableye attacks to end off some psychic type attack, but it really does leave it open to psychic spam, flying type spam, and things like that. So it has to be played, you know, carefully.
Right. Like, Snorlax is very good, and Skarmory is also very good, and both of them do switch into Psychic-type attacks somewhat well, but a Tapu Lele is going to absolutely destroy them.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I really like what you said, by the way, about, you know, having more special breakers, because Manectric is a very good pick, an amazing pick, I think, with Victini and Terrakion, right? Because they're both physical breakers, and you have Manectric as a great pivot, great speed tier, great special type attacker to take some chip damage off of stuff for those two. The only problem is that another special typing, or another special attack mon, you know, another special breaker is probably better. Because Manectric, while it's really good at being a pivot and, you know, scouting out for stuff and getting chip, it's not able to especially break stuff. So if you come across like a Slowbro, maybe not a Slowbro because, you know, that's a water type, but if you come across like a Hippowdon, actually, yeah, what does this team even do versus Hippowdon? I guess Banded V-Create's going to have to do a good amount. Maybe even double Band, put Band in close combat on your Terrakion, put some HP Ice on your Manectric and just hope to chip it down. But, you know, there's no really strong special type Pokemon that you could, you know, put a choice specs on, and that's very, very detrimental to this team's breaking power. Yeah, I think it is definitely very solid, very scary. I still want to give it a 4 out of 5, maybe a lower 4 out of 5. Because I just can't, I can't imagine giving something that has a Victini and then a Mega Manectric, but that's, you know, that amazing breaking power plus that amazing speed tier and pivot as, you know, with plus Victini also has U-turn, remember. That Volturn core is just so good, I cannot imagine giving that anything lower than a 4 out of 5.
Really?
Next, we got the New England Butterbeans.
Am I doing this?
I remember. I think you are.
Alright. We got the New England Butterbeans. Good name. Komodo, Ninetales Alola, Rotom Wash, Gligar, Araquanid, Arctozolt, Eldegoss, Volrain, Blade Mega, and Alolan Sandslash. Pretty interesting team. I know Squid mentioned in the chat that it was a bit more of a mean build, but
yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So
he told me that
he
he wanted to prove that Hail can be good in draft. So threw a mean team. Hail
I mean, like, you know, it's interesting because you got Ninetales as a Hail set, and you actually have 2 Hail abusers. You have Result and Alolan Sandslash.
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually have Volrain with it. It used to be a Hail abuser with Ice Body, but I guess, you know, I'd like to use it. And then you have other Pokemon on the team, such as Komodo and Rotom Wash, which actually form a pretty cool core. And you have Blade Mega, which is one of those Cheater Pants type of Pokemon. You have a Araquanid that can set webs, and I think Gligar is a pretty good defensive Pokemon. Overall, I mean, like, I think the team's pretty interesting, like I mentioned. I do feel like he only needed one Halo user. I feel like Arctozolt and Alolan Sandslash, I could be wrong, but I feel like Arctozolt and Alolan Sandslash sort of do similar things. They have similar speed tiers, they're both, physical attackers. So maybe he could have chosen one over the other, but if it's going to be a Hell team, I appreciate the commitment to having multiple users. And yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say, and there's a lot to unpack, so I'm still processing it too. Noah, you want to jump in?
Yeah, especially one thing, interesting dynamic between Sandslash, Alolan, and Arctozolt is that Sandslash very much struggles with water types, right? Not even bulky water types, just water types in general, because if dual stabs are assisted. Como, of course, doesn't take them out too well, especially if it's like a Primarina. So Arctozolt is a good pick as an electric type to destroy those. I do think he has some very good cores going on. He, of course, has his Hail core. He then has, Hail obviously doesn't really like rock types. He doesn't like fire types, so he has that Rotom Wash. He then has a Fairy Dragon Steel core of Alolan Ninetales, Alolan Sandslash, and Como. He doesn't have a fire type, but he does have a grass type in Eldegoss, which I think is a very good tier 5 pick for his team. It's a good grass type to pair with Rotom. And of course he has Gallade Mega, which, we had that in Mega Tier 2 last year, and I drafted it and got the most kills any singular Pokemon has ever gotten in one season. Humble brag there, so that's what Gallade can do. And of course, for the Tier 1 like that, you want to, you're going to have to deal with a bad Tier 5 Z Captain, but he's making his Tier 5 Z Captain actually pretty good, considering he has Hail. I think it's considering he's going for a Hail team, I think it's very well planned out, and I think, he also has Sticky Webs, which is pretty nice for Como. I think overall, it's definitely a very scary team. What's up?
You got webs for Glade, too.
Oh, yeah, and Gallade, yeah, so for things like, Dragapult has Clear Body, but for things, I guess, Zero Aura also doesn't damage it that much. What's it good for? I guess,
I think it just lets you run Adamant.
That is a good point, yeah, it does let you run Adamant. Tout speed things like, Mega Gardevoir and base 100 type, that base 100 speed tier, Garchomp and stuff. Also, one thing is that this season, Clangorous Soul is not banned. Clangorous Soul Blaze, I guess, is because, Como is a Tier 1, meaning he can't be a Z Captain. But he does have Clangorous Soul in this thing. So I think it's going to be a very scary team. Yeah, I unbanned it.
We unbanned Clangorous Soul?
We did unban it. You didn't know? The reasoning behind it is that Como... So the reason why it was banned, right, is because Clangorous Soul, in my opinion, was made to, be kind of like a Clangorous Soul Blaze that doesn't exist that exists when there's no Z moves in play, right? But since Como can no longer use the Z move because he got moved up to Tier 1, we also are allowing Clangorous Soul. So, yeah.
Right. I'd like to see what he does with Como. Very threatening Pokemon, especially with that move.
Yeah.
Just want to add in one last thing. I feel like this team's a little bit weak to fire types. I don't know if you agree with me, Noah, but I guess he does have Araquanid plus Wash, but either of those two sort of get reliable recovery.
Yeah.
Have something I don't want to say what's one, like a strong fire type attacker. There is potential for this team to be worked down a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't have really a good Flare Blitz switch in, right? Of course, as I said, Rotom is very well paired with these guys. He also does have Araquanid with a Water Bubble and Walrein with a Thick Fat. But overall, it's still a bit fire weak, especially to physical type fire attackers. Yeah. I think it's solid 4 out of 5 though, because I think his Mons pair well together. It's a pretty scary team. His Sticky Web abusers are pretty strong as well. And he also has Como, which is very scary.
So many forwards. We're going to have a fun time ranking these.
Yeah, same as Medichamp Conference. There are a lot of fours there as well. Alright, now we got the Evansville Empoleons. Let's see what we got. So, we got... interesting defensive core, because we have Clefable plus Milotic, which is pretty strong, very specially bulky. On the physical side, we of course have Metagross, which doesn't have any good recovery. We have Avalugg, which is actually a Tier 4, which is kind of sad. I don't even think that's really worth it. We do have some powerhouses like Xurkitree, Zardex. We have a Z-Move user in Lycanrocket, Midnight. We got Simisage, and we got Zoroark, which is pretty cool, and Scyther. So let's see. I'm trying to think right now. So is Zoroark even good on this team? I don't think it is.
Personally, don't think so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, right, like Zoroark inherently just has trouble with like finding a role to do on teams. It's like either you have a dedicated like illusion pair, or you like pick them on based on such personality. But either way, not a Zoroark on his team. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit on the more bulky side of things. So I don't see a point. I mean, like maybe you could like copy as like Clef or something. I don't know.
I think the best things. The best things that Zoroark disguises itself are either breakers, because it pairs with, if it's it's disguised as a breaker that obviously synergizes well type wise, you can easily get a free kill turn 1, right? Because your opponent has to decide, is that a Zoroark or is that something else? Like a Mega Heracross is just going to 1-hit KO my Zoroark switching. And I think that works well in this case with Mega Zard. And Mega Zard also works the other way, where the second type I think Zoroark pairs well with is a bulky setup sweeper, because you get free setup. But if you look at his offensive options, he has Circuitry, which is, unfortunately, it's better as a setup sweeper or a pivot, but it's not a bulky setup sweeper, right? So it's still going to fall over, even if he decides to hit Zoroark, or if he's looking at Circuitry, right? And he wants to hit it with just like a neutral ground type attack, Zoroark's going to just die to that. Whereas, if he's looking at a Zard X, he has to think, okay, do I think this is a Zoroark, and is it going to nasty plot on me? So I just stay in and just use like I guess, let's say a bug type attack, or not a bug, let's say a fairy type attack, right? Like, let's say it's Clefable. I mean, obviously it's Clefable. Let's say it's Clefable versus Zoroark turn 1. Charizard obviously pairs well with it, because if that's, versus Charizard, he has to think, okay, do I switch because I can't let this thing Dragon Dance, or is it just a Zoroark? And if I switch out my Clefable, is he just going to nasty plot on me and take advantage of it? But besides Zardex, there really isn't any other good pairings with it. But offensively, it is pretty strong with Zardex, and Zardex on its own, and as well as Circuitry are pretty strong. Defensively, Milotic plus Clefable is pretty good. I'd definitely like to see a better physical wall that has, I guess, if I were him, I'd get rid of that Avalog and that Metagross, and maybe get something that's a bit more physically defensive with recovery. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Noah covered a lot of it, so I'm just going to add on some good points. I think, first of all, I wish this team had some more hazard neutral, especially with the Zardex that can't carry boots.
Yeah.
I feel like when you have those, like, rock weak megas, you really want to have some reliable, hazard removal. Looking at this team, it seems like the only hazard removal on this team is Defog Scyther, which pressures it to be more, defensive. You can't put a choice band. It's harder to put a choice band on it. And Rapid Spin Avalug, which, Avalug is a very situational Pokemon. I don't think it's that. I feel like it's not going to come to a lot of games. So you really struggle with the Stealth Rocks removal that Zard X really wants. But, I do also wish that there are some more pairings. I feel like Stealth or Sticky Webs would also be really nice in this team with, Metacross, which kind of has like a slower speed tier, and Circuitry, which also does like, Sticky Webs. So I think the team's like good overall, but a few things I'd want from it. A few Pokemon I'd remove from this, but overall it's not bad.
Yeah. I want to say, I'm not sure if it's a high 3 or a low 4, because he does definitely have, like, the lower tier picks aren't the best, but they do still pair well, like Metagross plus Clef plus Milotic's a pretty good core. He also does have Charizard X, which is incredibly powerful, paired with Circuitry as a nice setup sweeper, pivot, with Specs Full Twitch, maybe Star Full Twitch. Maybe a low 4.
I'm going to give it a 3.
3? Okay. I'll move it to a high 3. But it could definitely be a 5 out of 5 if he puts bread on his Avalug, so... Yeah.
You didn't even do that on Showdown.
You can't? Oh, that's so sad.
No. Tried.
And you can put berries on a Zoomerl, so you could do that, Kevin. You should drop the Zoomerl for that.
Yeah, okay. Alright, I see how it is. Islands. Alright, next team. is the Ruptured Mawilds. So we got Spectrier, Haxorus, Alomomola, Crocodile, Scavalier, Xatu, Meltank, Flappy, Lopunny Mega, and Hurtinator on that, by the way. Initial reaction is there are some pretty sick, nasty Pokemon on this. You got Haxorus, Crocodile, and Scavalier are both pretty epic as well. I don't know, just a lot of cool looking Pokemon on this team that you typically don't see too often in leagues. I personally like it a lot. I mean, like, just looks and picks wise. But I think that to be critical of it, I do wish there was a more solid defensive backbone. But you know, it is pretty threatening offensively. I wish there was a bit more special attacking power besides Spectrier and maybe Turtonator. But I don't know. I think there's a lot to unpack on this team, especially because there's a lot of elements to it. But I do wish that also there was some more terrain abuse. Maybe pair it with like an unburdened Pokemon or maybe some more ground league Pokemon, because there actually aren't a lot of ground league Pokemon on this team anyway besides Turtonator. So Blacky to me is a little bit of a oddball pick, I think.
Mm-hmm. And you saying terrain abuse just makes me want to tell a quick little story about the FBA Discord. Some of you guys may have seen this, but the other day, ReadyU was talking in the chat. This was like during the draft, I think, and I don't know exactly what happened, but he was saying stuff about, you know, how he wants to, something about sun, right? And, you know, he's talking about sun abusers, right? But ReadyU's native language is not English, and he types SON, sun abuser, and I just found that very funny, so. Anyway, okay, so I don't really know what sick nasty means, but either way, I think it's a very good way to describe his team. You know, he's got some sick nasty Pokemon like Spectrier, Haxorus, Scavalier, Crocodile. One problem though, I mean, if you look at those Pokemon, they just don't look like they're team players, right? Like Crocodile is definitely not a team player. Haxorus seems very angry. Spectrier seems like a kind of like a loner, you know, it's very edgy. Do they actually pair well though? I mean, Spectrier plus Haxorus is obviously very strong, special plus physical, breaking power, setup sweeper power. Crocodile is a nice rocker, good dark type. Yeah, I do think it's a pretty solid team actually. I think Miltank's a very good pick with this team. It's able to, obviously its thick fat is very nice, able to tank ice type attacks that Haxorus and Crocodile and Xatu don't like, as well as fire type attacks that a Scavalier and Thwacky don't appreciate. And of course it has a ghost immunity for things like Xatu, Spectrier, Haxorus is like a ghost type attack. I think overall it's a pretty solid team. I don't think I've ever seen a team like this before. It's just a really weird composition.
Yeah, it was just so much to unpack.
Yeah, it's a lot of, yeah, this mons you don't really see used much together, but there are some like lower tier cores that I do see every once in a while, like Xatu plus a Scavalier is something I've used in the past. Alomomola is actually, so someone said that Alomomola isn't good in draft and should be like a lot lower, right? Instead of a tier 2, should maybe even be tier 4. And it's probably not the best tier 2, but no one's ever used it really in FBA. I don't recall, maybe I think in season 4 maybe Nick may have drafted it.
Camel had it in season.
Oh, Camel had it? Okay.
Season 4.
Yeah, but I don't really, it's never used that much, so maybe we could see it pull off something. Of course, I forgot to even mention, he also has Mega Lopunny, which is very strong. It's a great speed tier. It's able to...
It's a shit your pants type of mon.
It's a shit your pants type of mon, especially because it has return and stuff, because we have legacy moves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think...
Turn, close combat, double axle, your turn.
Yeah, it's able to break through steel types that Haxorus doesn't appreciate too much. I mean, Haxorus is usually fine with them now because it gets close combat and Earthquake. Fairy types, I mean, a stab return from Lopunny plus damage from Haxorus kills it. An attack from Spectrier plus an attack from Haxorus kills any fairy type as well. So I think overall it's kind of hard to judge this team. Definitely depends on how he uses it. I think it could either be not... It super actually depends on how he uses it, because it could either be amazing or awful depending on how he uses it. So yeah, I don't even know.
What is he going to rating?
I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Because we give it everything else a 4, I want to give it a chance and also give it a 4. So
yeah, I'll give it a chance. You know what? I'm really looking forward to how he plays it. Personally, I'm rooting for him.
Mm-hmm.
I like this team a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Next we got the Woobats. Who's that? I think I'm up, right?
You.
Me. Let's see. So it's I think it's once again kind of a core kind of team. You know, he has the Tapu Koko plus Mega Medicham that core had last season. Actually, it's kind of this is definitely a team that I'd used in the past because it has those two. It has Weavile, it has Azumarill, it has Bronzong, Goodra, all of those Pokemon I like to use. Whimsicott, obviously, I have this season. So it's definitely a lot of cool Mons, a lot of Mons that I like. In terms of how good they are, well, I mean, they are good. In terms of how good they're together, though, so
Questionable.
yeah, Goodra plus Bronzong is a core that I definitely use nowadays. He doesn't have a good fairy type to go. He has Whimsicott actually, which is pretty alright. Plus Azumarill. I mean, the problem is he has no reliable recovery at all on this team, right? Yeah, he doesn't have a single Mon that has reliable recovery, besides rest. That's kind of the biggest problem, and also no Cleric of course to help out with recovery. Offensively though, it's of course incredibly strong. He has physical breakers, physical sweepers, physical cleaners, physical setup sweepers. He has his special attacker in Tapu Koko, and he has Camerupt as a Z Captain and Goodra, so a bit more, and also setup Venomoth. So a bit more, special attack, like a special breaker could be good as opposed to the guys he has right now as special pivots, special setup sweepers. But it's pretty good still, offensively, good speed tiers. Whimsicott I think is really nice in this team, being able to U-turn out and stuff, having a nice speed tier as well. Defensively, it's not the best, but it's not bad either. So I think this is it's a pretty solid team. I think especially in the Meditite conference, it's kind of a team that I feel like a lot of better players will be able to take advantage of it, but in the Meditite conference, it might end up doing really well.
Yeah, for sure. This is a very, very expensive team. You got Koko, Medici, Perry. I think it's just incredibly threatening. I'm not sure how they are type energy-wise, but you just have this amazing spiritual breaker, an amazing physical breaker paired together, plus things like Weavile, Azumarill, Venomoth, which has tinted lens. So I think that for someone facing this team, they're gonna have a hard time checking the defensively. Now, in my opinion, I think the best approach to this team would be to out offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that it's only defensive more in a certain sense is Goodra and Bronzong. So, I think that, like you mentioned, in the lower league, this could be a lot better. From seeing the past teams, I think that this team is going to be threatening, to check defensively. So, it's going to be interesting how people build around this.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention is the Mischievous pick. I do respect that a lot. I like that. Mischievous is a great tier 5, very underrated. We'll see what he does with that as well. And then I think, finally, Z Camerupt is cool, especially because you have, Trick Room, Bronzong. I think Mischievous also gets Trick Room, so yeah. I think a lot of interesting things happening with this, but interested to see how he uses it too.
Wait, is Miss Magus tier 4 or tier 5?
I want to say it's tier 4 because I feel like he would have gotten it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mischievous is cool because it does. What?
No, I'm just saying, if it's tier 5, then why Mischievous? But it's probably.
You get FBA light with it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But it's not that open. I definitely like what you said though about this is out offense is going to be definitely the way he does a lot of things, and because of that, Bronzong plus Goodra is very solid and almost doesn't even need reliable recovery as much because it's only going to be used to switch in a couple of times. And if your opponent doesn't know how to kind of keep up momentum, and those guys can just switch in and break whatever they have going, and then just come in, switch into something else to get momentum again with Medicham or Weavile or Koko. I think a lot of the way that the games are going to go is if your opponent isn't really too well prepared, it's pretty much going to be like, okay, Sushi's going to lose his Weavile and his Medicham at some point in the game, but his opponent's going to have to sack 3 or 4 Pokemon in order to deal with them. So, yeah. And rating. I think only because this is the lower tier, I'm going to give it a low 4. No, a 4 actually. A 4. Solid 4. What do you think?
Almost like a 5.
Really? I mean, I don't. Even though this is the lower tier, I think his opponents can deal with it somewhat. So.
Alright.
Alright.
We'll give it like a. I'm leaning to a high, but.
Yeah. So now we have the rankings. Okay, can you read the teams off to me?
Yeah. So. First up, we got some wishy-washies.
Okay. What else?
After that, we got the Miao Flanieros. Then we got the Toronto Star Raptors.
Okay.
We got the Houston Lycanrockets. Strap Scissors. Team Envy. The Down Bad Dragon Bolts. The Brooklyn Bay Corbinites. The New England Buttermeats. The Evansville Empoleons, and the Ruptured Mega Mallwells, and finally the WH Woobats.
Give me a second. Okay. Strap Scissors, I think it's STR. Why is it putting it... Why is the formatting weird here? This is annoying me. Do you see what I'm talking about? Between the HLR and STR?
You're good now.
Oh, nice. How'd you do that?
Magic.
Magic? Okay. Alright, let's do some rating.
Do you want to start top to bottom or bottom to top?
Let's do bottom to top, because that's the closest. Woobats, so we said that's obviously a very strong team. For now, let's just rate, like, I don't know, probably number 3? Number 4? What kind of should
Yeah,
we do?
I'm not like a.
Alright, 4. Alright, 4 for now. Mega Mawwiles are definitely worse, but they're a very strong team as well. It definitely depends on how he uses it. Just like the Woobats, I think it's probably a 5.
Really cool team. Yeah, I'm giving that a 5.
Empoleons, not the best. It's definitely pretty threatening. A lot of threatening Pokemon, though. I think one common theme I actually see, there's a lot of focus on more threatening Pokemon and not as much cores in this, which I mean makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's easier to use those threatening Pokemon in a lower league. So I feel like almost subconsciously the people kind of going into this knew what kind of Pokemon they should draft in order to take advantage of what kind of league they're in, right? Maybe.
I mean, I feel like I'd still play it like a
Empoleons, yeah. I'm just saying in general, yeah. Empoleons, I think 8 is fair. I mean, we'll see. Butter memes, I think that's probably a 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2. I respect the hail, but
it's a hail team. I mean, he could definitely prove us wrong.
I want to see Squid succeed with this. I like hail. I want to see it. It's doing good in OU, so let's see how it does in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying he's gonna, show us what a hail team does, but I'm pretty sure at the end of the season he's probably gonna end up in first place, and it's only because of Gallade and Coma. So.
Okay. All right.
Soup. We got soup.
Soup. Oh, this team.
I think this goes as a
7.
7?
Because we mentioned before, like, the 3 fighting types just isn't really that ideal, and then you just lack that special breaking power.
No, I'm saying it goes... I think it should go lower, because I don't see it being better than Zeta Ice's.
I agree, yeah. So you want to put, like, what, 10?
Well, that's a lot lower. Well, Zeta Ice is 8. I said we put it 9, maybe, and then move the butter memes down 1. Alright, down bad Dragapults.
Honestly, like butter memes better, but...
Do you?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Squid, if you're watching this, I got your back.
Dragapults, scary team, but like there's a lot of scary teams here, and doesn't have a good backbone. I think this is an 11.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it being better than other teams we have right now.
Hey, well, we'll put it there for now.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Alright.
Darien.
I want to play with 12. Like, setters, like rank setters, my dude.
I don't know. I mean, what do you even do against this? Like, what do you do? Like, bulky water, like, in this. Okay, let's look at the individual teams. Like, what team can deal with this? Mawwiles can't deal with this well. Zeta Ice, maybe somewhat, not really. Butter Memes, I mean, he has Hail, so I guess a bit better than other teams. Soup can't deal with this. Dragapults can't deal with this, besides using... I guess he has Sun, actually. Scissors can somewhat deal with it, not too ideally. Lycanrockets, also not too ideally. Staraptors has a Venusaur, and Venusaur just shuts it down his entire game plan, so... Arthur, he has Suicune. Okay, maybe it's a bit... Okay, I'm willing... Okay, maybe you're right. It's not as good as I thought, but... I don't know.
I think if you play it well, you can steamroll a lot of teams with it.
Yeah, there are a lot of teams like that in this division.
No, no disrespect to the team. I feel like you gotta play it well to do well with it, but it's certainly very threatening. It's just that a lot of... I think, I'm pretty impressed with the overall drafting of Meditite. I think they all had really nice teams.
Yeah, I think... we haven't seen... I don't think we've seen a single team in this entire, in the entire FBA Season 6 that's drafted like a truly not good team, right? Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, I don't think there was. Like last season there were a couple. This season I don't see a single team that I would say is, like mid 2 to below, right? Everything, like, if anything's a 2, it's a very, very high 2.
Mm-hmm.
Trinster... kind of a weakish sand team with some decent walls. I mean, I don't know. Should I move? What do you think?
Maybe, you could replace, 4 or 5 and move this upwards.
I don't think it's that high. Actually, I'm going to put this as a solid 6, because we don't have a 6 yet.
Oh, yeah.
Because, well, we'll go back in a second. Oops, I went all the way up. Lycanrocket's obviously number 1. Actually, you know what? It's number 0.
I mean, I'm down to rate this. Fully. I just don't like lack of hazard removal.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
And very type weakness. I know the Spam Ham did use up all his traits, so good luck with that fight.
Yeah, instantly he won. I think he had 5 trades already, but I'll put this as a 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually probably should go down a bit, but we'll come back to it.
Let's do we can do 4 and then bump current one.
Yeah. All right, 4 for now then. Then we got a Borther. Oh wait, no, I missed one. Staraptors. This team is not the best, but its Venusaur is very scary.
You were not a fan of this one.
What?
You were not a big fan of this.
I was not. I like the Venusaur, but it's not very good. Nothing abuses hazards. This might be a last 12, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's not even like it's terrible. Once again, it's not even like a mid 2 or below. If anything, it's a high 2, low, very, very low 3. But it's still, it's just, compared to everything else, it's definitely the worst.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it lies in the lower ends.
Yeah, definitely lies in the lower end. It's definitely, I think Arthur's is probably higher than it, but it's also a bit lower end, right?
Yeah.
And then Quacks is pretty good, I think. So let's put do we put 11 for? I guess we put 11 for Arthur.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, who's the number 1 team?
The big question is who's number 1?
Who's number 1 and 2? Let's see. So not Sushi or Rodian, because they're both great teams, but definitely not 1 or 2 worthy because it's very dependent on how they use it.
Yes.
Not Zeta Ice, not Buttermeans, not Soup, not Dragapults, not Darien, probably not Trinster. Quack might be number 2.
I think Quack deserves 1 or 2. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the team's very fresh.
Maybe it's even okay. Who would go over him? Not Spam Ham, but Spam Ham's pretty close. I think Kirk might be number 1 actually.
He is.
It's the most
Like,
consistent. Yeah.
The Heatran Salamence core really sets it up for success, and
Yeah.
then you just have a couple things supporting it. The 3 water types, not ideal, but I can overlook it because you have like things like Megazam and Umbreon and Celebi, so you know.
Yeah, so that's number 1. Number 2, we can put Lycanrockets there? No, we can't put. He doesn't have Stealth Rock Control. He has a Pinsir. We can't put it there. Maybe we put. I don't know. What do you think? Do we move the Woobats out?
Yeah, quite frankly, the more I look at it, like the more threatening it does seem.
Yeah. So we have Quack is number 1, Woobat's number 2. We don't have a number 3 because we have 2 number 11s. So let's see, who's number 3? Right now we have number 4 as Lycanrockets, number 5 as Rupture Mega Mawwiles. I think Rupture Mega Mawwiles is probably better than Lycanrockets, right?
Who is that again?
Second to last slide.
Okay, it's just such a sick, nasty team. Like,
Yeah.
I can't speak badly about it. It's just too cool.
Yeah.
It's too cool for school, man.
And then we have probably
And then you should move
Lycanrockets.
everything else up.
Yeah, so we have Lycanrockets, then we don't have a number 5 because we have 2 number 12s.
Yeah, just decide which number 11's better and then just move everyone upwards.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't... Here, let's just say this, and then we'll look at it again. So what's Strap Scissors? That's, let's see. Does it deserve number 5? Yeah, it deserves number 5.
Yeah, I would say so.
Our number
And
7...
it's
We'll have a number
really
7.
good.
We're going to have a 6 or 7. I repeat a lot of numbers. So number 8 is Evansville Empoleons. Where is that? It's probably a 7, not an 8. Who's number 6? Or not a 6. I want to move someone up. Is there anyone to move up, or are we putting him there? Let's see. Butter Memes, Soup, Dragapults. Dragapults and Darien are actually not that bad. Oh, how about Arthur?
We could move.
Nah, not Arthur.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like we can move that too. There's like just Dragapult Suicune is just really, really threatening, and Nidoking is a great breaker. So quite frankly, like,
So
and it does have Mega Chomp, so like.
I don't think it's worth a 6 though. Like, is it even better than Evansville Empoleon? Nah. It's
Yeah, I personally think so.
You think so? Alright.
Yeah.
I'm down to put that as 7, I think is fair, and then Evansville Empoleon is 8. But I want to move someone else up. Like, I mean, if there is someone to move up. Like, how about, Okay, maybe there isn't. Yeah, there's not. Okay. I'll put him as 6. Evansville as 7. Who's number 8? So BCV. Who's that? Brooklyn Bay Corviknights. Yeah, deserves
Buttermemes
it.
is 9.
What?
Buttermemes is 9.
Yeah, then we have Butter Memes. I'll put that as 9. Then we have... So, let's see. Down Bad Dragapults, Team Envy, and Toronto Staraptors. I think Staraptors is last. Envy is 11. What's Down Bad Dragapults look like? I think that's 10. That's 10.
I like that team. You know, I think we should move it to a 10.
Yeah. Okay. So the rankings right now, we have...
just can't mess around with something.
Yeah, definitely. So we have, it goes Quack, then Sushi, then Erodian, then the God Spam Ham, Goat, then Trinster, UNF is Arthur, Zeta Ice, Soup. I don't know why his name is Soup, and I don't know what the hell Shintoism was, because that was his old name, so. Then we got Ranger Squid, Cheese. For some reason his name is Cheese. We got Soup and Cheese in this league. Darian, and Jacob or Inkfish. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Any other comments, Kevin? We're good?
That's it for me.
All right. Good luck in your games. See you guys later. We also might do at the end of the season, we'll probably do a championships. We'll try to do a championships live commentary. We'll see how that goes. So yeah. As always, let me know if you have any questions in the Discord, and let us know if you ever want us to make more videos like this. I mean, we'll probably do another one next season as well. All right, see you guys.